Hey guys, welcome to Skyclan RC. Today we are going to speak about nitro engines. I'm an electric guy, I don't know much about nitro engines. So today we have Mr. Vishal Rao. So he's one of the pioneers in model aviation and has been built over hundreds of model airplanes and trained a lot of students to take up the hobby and also building and also flying the airplanes. So he has a great knowledge in building and flying airplanes, over 10 years of experience. He flies nitros, guys. So he'll be a great talk about the nitro engines. So what do you have for us today, sir?
So today I have for you 46 size nitro plane. So it's a 1.5 meter wingspan, weighing about 2.5 kgs, and the engine we have is Thunder Tiger 46 Pro.
So what does 46 stand for?
46 is basically it is actually 0.46. So 0.46 denotes the cubic inches. 0.46 cubic inches capacity of the engine.
So it basically determines the diameter, the volume of
the cylinder.
Okay. Yeah. So 0.46 cubic inches is the volume of the cylinder, guys. So like what are the different types of nitro engines available in the market?
Generally we have 4-stroke engines and 2-stroke engines. So what we have right now over here, it's a 2-stroke engine. So you can see, whereas in 4-stroke engines you will have 2 cam rods over here, and just like your normal internal combustion 4-stroke engines, it has a 4-stroke, and this is a smaller 2-stroke.
Okay, so 4-stroke engines are basically the one used in cars and bikes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What would you prefer if a beginner wants to step into trying nitro engines? Will it be a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke engine?
I would definitely recommend a 2-stroke engine, just for the sake of simplicity, because it's very simple to operate and there are not much parts in it compared to a 4-stroke. And also, if you are using a 4-stroke engine, you need the fuel in this, like it is about mixture of oil, castor oil and methanol. In 4-stroke engines, most people recommend using a synthetic oil. So because castor oil, it has a tendency to gum up the walls of the 4-stroke engines. So generally for 4-stroke, it's better to use synthetic oils, but due to non-availability of synthetic oils and the easy availability of castor oil, it is better if you go for a 2-stroke engine.
Alright. So what's the fuel used here basically?
Fuel is a mix of methanol and castor oil in percentage of 80 methanol and 20% castor oil.
Okay.
Generally for the glow engine planes, we use something called as nitromethane. That's why they are called nitro planes or nitro engines. But since due to non-availability of nitromethane, we generally skip that. So we just use plain methanol and castor oil.
So what is the advantage of adding nitromethane?
Nitromethane improves the combustion value of the fuel. So you get better idling and better performance.
Okay. What's the difference between the propeller used in electric airplane and gas airplane? Is it different or is it the same?
Yes, it's different. Slightly, this propellers, engine propellers, gas engines and glow engines, they have a dense propeller.
Okay.
Like the hub is pretty strong,
Okay.
compared to the electrics. So electrics have very thin hub, whereas this have a strong hub.
Okay.
So basically to counter the initial torque of the engine.
Okay, so electric motors are like have a constant driven torque. So
yes,
yeah, nitro
There's
engines
not
have
much torque. So
okay.
whereas nitro engines, they have a very high initial torque.
Okay, cool.
So the propellers needs to be dense.
Okay, so basically these propellers are denser near the hub, guys, and it tapers down as usual. Yeah.
Even towards the taper and midsection, it's denser than the electric.
Okay. Cool. So what are its main components? Like what are the main components of this engine? The basic components.
The basic components is like this is the carburetor.
Okay.
This is the cylinder head.
Okay.
And this is something called as glow plug.
Okay.
It is just like a spark plug, but we don't need ignition module for this.
Okay.
So you just have to power the glow plug only during the initial starting
Okay,
phase.
cool.
So after that, due to the reaction of the fuel with the glow plug element, it keeps on glowing.
Okay.
So you can remove the ignition power after the starting.
Okay.
This is the muffler.
Okay.
So there is one outlet going from the muffler to pressurize the fuel tank.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the carb inlet.
Okay.
So this is the inlet fuel from the fuel tank to the carburetor.
Okay.
And this is the needle valve. This is a twin needle carburetor.
Okay.
So there is one needle over here. It controls the high speed fuel control for the high speed, and there is one more screw over here that controls the idle speed.
Okay, cool. So basically carburetor is used to mix fuel and air mixture, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Is it in like equal proportions or?
Actually, it all depends on the climatic conditions.
Okay.
So depending on the altitude and climatic conditions, you have to adjust the
Inlet.
air and
Fuel mixture. Okay, cool. So guys, this engine does not have a spark plug as such. It just has a glow plug, which keeps glowing when there is a reaction between methanol.
Yeah.
When it's reacted with methanol. So it's like a catalytic reaction. So, and also this engine does not have a fuel pump, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
it does not have a fuel pump, so it's a very simple engine. So the mechanics are very simple to operate. But at the same time, it's not very reliable.
Okay.
Like since it doesn't have a fuel pump, it is difficult to maintain that fuel air mixture constant.
Okay.
So it keeps varying because of the altitude as well as the maneuvers you make.
Okay.
So your tuning has to be perfect. Otherwise, there is chances of engine quitting mid-air.
Okay. The fuel lines are all silicon, and he recommends using silicon because using rubber can destroy it.
Yeah, it will degrade.
Okay.
So silicon is recommended for the globe.
Okay. Also, fuel is pumped just by pressurizing the fuel tank from the external, from the muffler, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So, what are the equipments required to run this engine? Like the external equipments, including the fuel and the pump and all.
Okay. So we require, first of all, we require a hand pump or electric pump.
Okay.
Then we require something called as igniter.
Okay.
That is to power the glow plug. Okay. So we have here a step-down converter that is used to ignite the glow plug. So it steps the voltage down to around 1.5 volts, which is the voltage, nominal voltage for the glow plug.
Okay. So if we like exit the voltage of the glow plug,
You have that there is a chance of burning the glow element.
okay.
Glow plug
So
element.
make sure you guys use 1.5 volts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.5 volts as per
It
the
has to
manufacturer.
be at least deliver around 3 amps.
Okay.
So your normal 1.5 volt AA cells will not work.
So will NiCad or nickel metal hydride will work?
I'm doubtful. So maybe you can power two in parallel.
Okay,
1.5.
To
So
increase
it
the
requires, because we have seen from here, we require around 3 amps.
Okay.
So there is, as soon as you connect the give power, there is a lot of drop in the voltage because it takes a lot of current.
Okay. So make sure you use the right battery to ignite the glow plug at initial stages, guys.
Otherwise, you also get something like this. So this is also a igniter, portable one. So you
Okay.
can get this charged at your place, and then you can use it while you are flying.
Okay. Does it have a battery, internal battery?
Yes, it
Okay.
has an internal rechargeable battery.
Okay.
It's a nickel cadmium battery.
Nickel. Okay, guys. So this is the better tool for igniting your glow plug, guys.
Then we need a starter stick. This is a simple DIY stick we have made. And if you are, it's always better to have something called as starter also. This is a engine starter. So it has a starter cone here that sits on the spinner, and it helps you to start. So it is always better if you have a starter as a standby, because some days, like, you never know, your engine, it will give you some problems. So it's difficult to start by just flipping by hand.
Okay.
So better have a starter with you. And this is a 4-way bench. So this can be helpful in changing the glow plug.
Okay. So have a wrench, guys. In case you burn a glow plug, you can just replace it with the new one.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the basic setup, and this is a hand pump.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you prefer using electric starter to start the engine or hand crank?
I would definitely prefer hand cranking, because engine starting with a starter, like, things can go bad pretty fast. So there is something called as hydrolocking, where if you prime too much fuel into the engine, so there is a chance of hydrolock. And if you persist to start that engine with a starter, you have always the crank rod getting broken.
Okay. Like, is it safe to hand crank because of the fingers getting in between?
You have to use this starter stick. So never use your fingers.
Okay.
So the starting is like it can take you back faster.
Okay. So guys, never use your fingers to hand crank the engine. Better use such kind of tool to crank the engine. Yeah.
So this is nothing. It's basically a PVC pipe inside with a rubber hosing and a bicycle grip, two-wheeler grip.
Okay. So you can build it yourself, guys.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yes.
So once you have all these equipments, guys, you can you're ready to actually go with starting up the engine. So like, what are the procedures involved in starting up this engine? Starting from the steps.
First, we'll have to fuel up the fuel tank.
Okay, so the step 1 is fueling the fuel tanks, guys.
Then we have to prime the engine.
Priming the engine.
Priming the engine. That I'll show you how to do it. Then once the priming is done, then we have to distribute the fuel to the cylinder. Then that is by flipping, and then finally we have to power the glow plug and crank.
Okay, so there are just 4 steps, guys. To install the wing before fueling it. So he prefers it. Is there any?
Because yeah.
Okay.
Main reason is like the wing takes up lot of vibration of the engine.
Okay.
So if you are starting the engine without the wing on it, your model will vibrate a lot, and it will damage lot of parts. So
Okay.
always when starting the engine, have the wing assembly.
Okay, so the vibrations absorbed by the wing, the entire airplane.
Basically the
Okay,
entire
distributed vibrations.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it will
Okay.
dampen the vibration.
Okay, cool. What are the servos used, sir? Is it the regular ones what we use in electric airplanes, or are there any different kind of servos for nitro airplanes?
Basically, it's better to have a metal gear servo because due to the vibration of the engines, there is a chance of plastic gears getting stripped. So to be on the safe side, always use metal. And depending on the airframe, obviously the servo size will increase. So what we are using here is for the throttle we are using a 16 gram metal gear servo, and for the rest of the parts, control surfaces, we are using standard servos. That is around 40 gram, 43 gram.
All right. So even for the throttle control, there's a servo here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So unlike your electric where you have ESC,
Okay.
so this is a mechanical arm for controlling the throttle barrel.
Okay.
So we'll be controlling the throttle barrel using a servo.
Okay. So basically, you're controlling the airflow through the engine, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So you're using the throttle stick to control the servo, which directly controls the airflow into the engine. Okay. So make sure, guys, secure all your connections before flying it out. So is it like the fuel tank has to be exactly on the CG location or something like that?
See, the thing is like the fuel tank of this has to be as close to the engine as possible since there is no pump involved.
Okay.
So to get better flow of the fuel, the fuel tank should be as close to the engine as possible.
Okay.
So if you try to place the fuel tank at the CG level,
Okay.
it will make the fuel distribution difficult.
Okay.
So one disadvantage with this setup is like now at the start it will be nose heavy,
Okay.
and as flight progresses, as the fuel tank gets emptied, it becomes tail heavy. So there has to be a balance between the two.
Okay.
So this is one trade-off you have to take.
Okay. So guys, when the fuel is completely full, it's nose heavy, and it's when it's getting over, it will be tail heavy. So you need to have some piloting skills to
Yeah, but
take
it's
all these
not
things.
that drastic.
Okay.
It's okay, decent. You actually like an average pilot, he will not be able to make out that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it won't make that much difference.
All right. So it's a minor difference, guys. Yeah. So we'll start with the fueling, guys.
So as you can see, this has only a 2-line fuel tank. So there is no separate line for the fuel intake, filling. So what we are doing is we are disconnecting the carburetor line and we are using it to fuel the tank.
Okay. From there. So he's using the same fuel line connected to the carburetor and using a hand crank pump to pump the fuel into the fuel tank.
Fueling up, you have to make sure that the exhaust line is disconnected.
Okay.
So this basically gives you an indicator of when the tank is full.
All right.
So when the tank is almost full, the fuel comes out from the exhaust.
Okay.
So once it's full, you have to 2-3 cranks. You have to reverse it so that there is some space inside the tank.
Okay. So plug the fuel lines back. He's done with the fueling of the engine. So he's gonna prime the engine now.
So priming is basically like you have to open the throttle fully.
Okay.
So either you can close the exhaust end or you can put your thumb on the carburetor. So as I crank the fuel propeller, you can see the fuel coming inside.
Okay.
So you see the fuel has entered now. So maybe two times you have to do it. So because too much fuel can create hydrolock as well as starting difficult.
Okay.
So once you have primed it, So then what I basically do is I just switch off, close the needle valve.
Okay.
So you can either do this or you can close the throttle barrel and then flip it couple of times.
Okay.
So I have found this technique to be good. So I'm just closing the needle valve so that no more fuel is entered.
Okay.
So it can create problems starting the engine.
Okay.
So once this is closed, about flipping few times, so this will suck the air in.
Okay.
And make the combustion easier, starting easier.
Okay. So make sure you flip the engine around 5 to 6 times, guys.
So once this is done,
so once you're done with this, open the needle valve and drop the throttle to 0.
so you remember where the position was of the needle
Okay.
if you are closing it,
Okay.
because you need to remember that. Otherwise the tuning can go haywire.
Okay. So make sure you add some steel wires so that you get the position of the initial position of the needle valve. So now the fourth step, guys. Igniting the glow plug. So the entire engine is grounded and the positive is connected to the tip of the glow plug.
So we'll give power now.
So he powered up the glow plug and the glow plug has started to ignite.
Do one more test. So before actually taking off, you have to check the tuning. So that you do by keeping the model vertical and giving full throttle. So what that condition actually tests is whether your needle valve is set on the leaner side or the richer side. So we have to see that when it's in the vertical condition, it is not lean. So if it is in the lean condition, there is a chances of the model quitting, engine quitting. So my student will hold the model in the vertical position and we'll check the mixture setting. You're recording that.
So what just happened, sir? It just shut off.
Yeah, it's like it was idling for too long and I immediately bumped the throttle.
Okay.
So that can happen. So when you are idling for too long, you have to make sure that the throttle is gradual. You are extending the throttle gradual because there is a lot of the idling is little on the richer side. So a lot of fuel in the crank case. So make sure your throttle is gradual.
All right.
So now the thing is like it's difficult to start a hot engine.
All right. Okay.
Because the compression is less.
Okay.
So it can be difficult, but we'll try.
Okay. So it's gonna ignite the glow plug again, guys. And it's gonna start the engine again.
And you have to be very careful while starting this because
when you are removing the glow plug igniter, you have to make sure that your hand is way away from the propeller.
Okay.
So that's something, and you don't have any moving parts that can come in the way of the propeller.
All right.
So it's very dangerous. As you can see, it's difficult now to start.
Okay. Place to fly. So we are at the Sayadri campus here. It's a beautiful place.
As you can see from the fuel exhaust, you can see a lot of smoke. So that indicates that the tuning is on the very rich side. So it is little safe to always have the tuning on the richer side than the lean side.
Okay, so richer means it's basically more fuel than air.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the from the combustion point of view, there is a lot of extra fuel coming out. So that's denoted by the smoke.
All right.
So the combustion is not very efficient.
Okay. So it's basically an incomplete combustion, just
Yeah.
like a two-stroke bike engine. Okay. So guys, it's flying beautifully here. It looks very stable. Like, how is the flight characteristics different from flying an electric airplane? Is it the same, or there are variations?
See, compared to an electric model, this your engine ones are slightly heavier.
Okay.
Basically to dampen the vibrations, and also like to balance the model also.
Okay.
So you have a lot of weight in the front in the engine.
Okay.
So for that to balance the CG to come proper, you need to have a little weight at the back also.
All right.
Overall, it adds to a lot of weight on the frame. So similar size electric plane, you can build for around 1.5 kilos.
Okay.
Whereas this one it is weighing around 2.5.
Okay. So this is 2.5 kilos, guys.
So
Whoa.
that makes the landing and all little difficult.
Okay.
So it will have the landing speed is more in this compared to an electric plane.
Okay. And it sounds crazy, guys. This
Yeah.
guys.
Yes. And since due to the extra weight, this handles the wind and turbulence better than the electric model.
All right. So what are the basic manuals you can try?
So we can do a basic all the basic manuals like rolls,
Okay.
loops, pretty much everything what an electric can do.
Okay.
But if you are doing hovering and all, then your engine has to be in a prime condition.
Okay.
Like you can't afford to your engines to quit in that. So if you are doing 3D maneuvers, having a nitro fuel is a must.
Okay.
Nitro methane.
Okay. So guys, if you're flying a 3D airplane using a nitro engine, then it's preferable to use nitromethane as a fuel additive. So that was a roll, guys.
Yeah.
That was pretty much a single point roll. So he's gonna try one more roll.
So now we are going to do a loop.
Okay.
No, we will do a derailment. So now we'll do a loop now.
Okay. So a nitro engine loop, guys. So that was the perfect loop I've ever seen, guys.
So perfect loop is loop where the speed is constant throughout the transition,
Okay.
as well as your entry and exit points are same.
Points are same, alright.
We'll do an inverted now.
Okay, so he's coming for inverted flying, guys.
some lot of obstacles around here, so making a low pass. Oh yeah, it is difficult. We'll be landing now.
Okay. Ah. Yeah.
Unlike the electric models, we have to, as you can see that from the throttle opening, there is slight idle opening. So unless you close the throttle barrel fully, the engine is not going to quit. So we can do this either by pinching the fuel line or SID switch to the transmitter such that it closes the throttle barrel completely. So we have the throttle kill switch here.
So basically it does was it completely closed the barrel valve.
Yeah,
So there's no airflow in through the engine now. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a beautiful flight, guys. So what are the checks after the flight you have to necessarily do for the nitro engine?
So for after every flying session, you have to do a cleaning job.
Okay.
So that is a I won't call it mandatory, but it is better like since there will be a lot of oil on the model.
Okay.
If you allow it to build up,
Okay.
so it will form a layer.
Okay.
So that becomes very difficult to clean.
Okay.
And one more benefit of cleaning is you can also do a checkup. So to see if any control surfaces or linkages or any screw is loose or anything like that. So that's also a good time for doing a flight check.
Okay.
So what you can say, safety check.
Okay. Yeah. So make sure, guys, you clean your airplane after the flight. So I want to thank Mr. Vishal Rao for sharing such a great experience with us. Hope you guys like the video. Please give a thumbs up if you like the video, and please consider subscribing to us for more content like this, guys. So yeah, thank you guys. See you.
Thank you.